Indian Armed Forces. Whenever we hear the name of Indian Army, Indian Navy, Indian Air Force, what comes to our mind is men on the battlefield. We always talk about their courage, their discipline, how rigorous they are fighting, but we often forget that there's a whole lot of support system behind all that that makes it possible. So today I have with me a woman who has worked in Indian Army for 22 years and she is now transitioned into corporate as a vice president in human resources. Hi, Ipsa, how are you doing?
Thank you so much for this lavish introduction, and it's a pleasure to be here.
So, like I said, that we rarely hear about women in armed forces. Whatever we hear is all about the brotherhood. So, how and when did you decide that you want to join the Indian Army?
Actually, I think, recently Nari Shakti has gained a lot of attention. So the Prime Minister is doing a lot to bring that to the fore. So, yes, possibly about the time when I had joined, it was a dream because I'm a second generation officer. My father was in the forces. He retired as a full colonel. And it was always my dream to join the army, to wear the uniform. But then at that point of time, of course, the opportunity was not there. And of course, the way the social media is right now, you come to know about news in a matter of seconds. So we had to depend on newspapers and maybe chance advertisements and all that. So we happened to come across advertisements in the newspaper that women could join Indian Army and in
Nice.
Air Force. So my sister and I, we decided to apply. She applied for the Air Force and I applied for the Indian Army and we got through. So
Wow.
yeah. So of course, my father is very proud. I lost my mother about 22 years ago, but yes, she was a very proud lady. Yeah.
So, you come from a complete army background, raised in the army background.
Yes, completely grown up in that environment. Then subsequently, of course, got married to an army officer also.
So how is it like as a child being surrounded by, army and that discipline that comes into you automatically?
Um, I would say it's a way of life, Swati. I didn't know any other world. I grew up in it, saw those officers, the ladies, the men folk who were there as a part, the brotherhood, the camaraderie that we just talked about. And it was just home. And then it was very logical that you would aspire to join it, right? Because you have grown up in that environment and you're very familiar. But of course, a daughter officer of an officer and being an officer yourself, of course, has changes in the nuances because you enjoyed unparalleled love, adulation, and admiration. And as an officer, you have responsibility and accountability, definitely, which is there with everything.
So when you joined the army, how was the training like?
See, like I said, that I grew up as a daughter of an army officer. I was into fine arts and I was not very much into sports or, very rigorous exercises. But then when you join the academy, it's a different level. And obviously, you have to ensure that the physical standards are met and all of that is in place because when it comes to discipline, when it comes to your physical fitness, there's no compromise at all.
Physical as well as mental fitness, right?
Oh, yes. So I would say that it's more mental than physical.
Okay.
Your resolve is something that you that carries you through. It's
Okay.
not your physical strength. So you might be a little physically weak, but then if your mental resolve is there, then that carries you through, definitely. In fact, that is the cue that you gave me. So, like I said, that didn't have a background, but then I had only one resolve that come what may, I have to pass out as a commissioned officer. I will definitely not go back, failure. So that is
Mm.
something which really saw me in good stead. And whatever I am because of the Indian Army. I've grown up in that environment. Uh, the kind of confidence. I was a very different kind of a person as a child also. Whatever I am, it's purely because of the army.
So you joined the Indian Army in the logistics, in the HR department.
So we have a logistics department. It's a core rather, I would say. It's a kind of support service for the entire Indian Army,
Okay.
and it's called the Army Service Corps. So
Okay.
I was commissioned into the Army Service Corps.
So how was it being a woman serving in the service corps?
See, wherever you go, you have to work very hard. You have to build up your reputation, and you have to prove your worth. And it is not about being a woman because a male officer also has to, face the same kind of. So, if you want to get that badge or that stamp of being a good officer, you have to work very hard. You have to work hard. You have to prove your worth. You have to prove to the men that, yes, uh, I'm there and I'm your leader and you will listen to me. And for that, you have to prepare yourself in the sense that, see, like what I said, that respect has to be commanded, it can't be demanded. So just because I'm an officer doesn't mean that somebody has to listen to me if I don't have the wherewithal or if I don't have the knowledge, maybe of the policies, maybe of what skills are required, of what standards of physical fitness are required. So you have to lead by example. It is not by just by dint of your the brass on your shoulders.
Like I mentioned in the beginning, that whenever it comes to armed forces, we always talk about the battlefield, but we don't talk about the support system behind that. So, would you like to share what kind of work, for example, the people who are working as a support system, they do for the Indian Army?
See, when we are talking about a battlefield, we've heard this adage that army marches on its stomach. So the Army Service Corps, it is responsible for the provisioning of rations. That means, transportation of the food materials, oils, lubes. And in battlefield, of course, a soldier should not have to look over his shoulder for the next batch of supplies, be it anything, ammunition, food, oil, or FOL for the FOL is fuel oil lubricants for the vehicles. So all that is what Army Service Corps does. Not to mention places where it is difficult to, make sure that the supplies reach in time. It is responsible for aerodropping also, like all
The
of
remote
that.
areas.
Remote areas, exactly, which are inaccessible by road. Many a time, animal transport is used or it is dropped from
Okay.
a plane.
Do you have any story or memory from the time you served that you would like to share?
There are so many stories. There are so many funny stories. There are so many, uh, incidents which possibly you wouldn't face in a normal course of time. So it's not a very fun story. I was in charge of a trial of a bus which was being introduced. I'll not name the company, but then just sufficient to understand that it was a
Mhm.
long chassis bus. And there are army convoys which fly from, say, Jammu to Srinagar or Leh and all that. So the bends are such that there are hairpin bends in the mountains. At times, it is difficult for the bus to negotiate turns and all that. So I was a part of this trial convoy which was going, and there is a quick reaction team. There are vehicles because in the road from Srinagar to say Leh, the road or places that we pass are infested with terrorism.
Okay.
Yeah. So there was an instance when a very small boy, he was carrying must be about say 8 or 9 years old, and inside his pin he had a grenade, and he just pulled out the pin and he lobbed it into the open window of the cupola of the vehicle, which was right in front of the bus in which I was traveling. So the grenade went off and the driver and the co-driver were killed instantly, bringing the vehicle to a halt. And then obviously what happened is like it works as a clockwork precision, the entire QRT, get activated. But then, with the human rights and that you find a little boy who's done all this. So it's a very different kind of a situation. It's a situation which you really need to handle with a lot of tact, diplomacy, because on one hand, your men are there, but they've lost colleagues, they've lost their own brothers. And then on the other hand, there is a small boy who's done this. So that's where, all your senses, all your responses have to be very, very alert and very quick, because you have to take charge of the situation and make sure that nothing untoward happens. Because this small incident can become very big, in terms of retaliation, in terms of the emotions which are running rife at that moment.
So even being in a non-combat role, sometimes you face such kind of incidents where you, like you said, that you have to take the charge. How does it feel like?
It is a normal process because being posted in counterinsurgency areas, you are responsible for your own safety. You can't look at somebody else to be responsible for looking out for you. It's each to his own, and of course, the training is such that you have to ensure that you are up to it. You don't have a choice.
And like you said, that you have to be mentally strong. So after such an incident, what keeps you motivated and that resilience that, yeah, I can do it again? And does it impact you mentally? I mean, we all say that, armed personnel are very, very strong physically and mentally, but when it actually happens in front of you, how does it feel like?
Training kicks into place because the training imparted is rigorous, number one. Number two, it is repetitive. So it's like kind of drummed into you. So what happens is in any kind of situation, be it a war zone or be it any kind of situation where the decision is required is instantaneous, you would not think twice. Because see, difference between corporate and the military is that lives are at stake. A split second delay in your decision making is going to cost lives. So it has to be very agile. Your, mental faculties have to be alert, agile. And of course, you have to take that gamble that whatever you are doing at that point of time is the best decision in the circumstances. Because of course, whoever is there on ground weighs all the odds and by dint of experience, long years of experience, that this is what they are supposed to be doing. And that's correct. So your training, kind of takes over. It's just muscle memory.
So, like you said, that when you are an officer, you have to earn that respect, right? So, as a HR professional in the Indian Armed Forces, how did you earn that respect? Do you have any story?
So in my units, wherever I have been to, the first thing that, and then since my father was also in the army, so he would always advise me that the first thing that you do is to read up the policies, to read up whatever the diktat of the army says, rather. So that gives you a very clear indication as to what procedure is to be followed, what processes are to be ensured that they are in place. Of course, so what happens is a lot of people they go by hearsay or maybe they don't read it themselves. The nuances that you discover by dint of and at most times this has got a legal connotation also. So whatever you do today is going to have a ramification or a fallout tomorrow. And especially in the, say, Army Service Corps, we have a lot of financial dealings.
Okay.
So these things are, and as you know, that financial dealings have to be very, very clear. The paperwork has to be very supportive and all that. So I always had built up that reputation of knowing the correct thing and following it. So like leadership is, while you have a lot of styles of leadership, it has to be very impersonal and very non favoritism kind of a thing. Like the moment you start doing that, like favoring something, somebody, or maybe a particular style, your behavior becomes very predictable. So it has to be very impersonal and very much as per the policy.
Okay. So now that we see that, many young girls are coming into the Indian Army, joining it, and the Prime Minister is also supporting that, how does that make you feel?
I just love it. I simply love it because breaking glass ceilings and, of course, seeing women do so well, it's very heartening. I've got a daughter, and she's aspiring to join Indian Armed Forces, and I'm like rooting her on.
Wow. So you're just passing on the legacy.
I see. I believe in, of course, letting the kids do whatever they want to. But yes, I would love to see her in uniform. I have been there, so I know what kind of pride you feel being a part of that uniform and the respect that you command. And even as a veteran, see that stamp of loyalty, dedication. That's like, it's inbuilt. I don't have to talk about it. So if they come to know, okay, my background is from the armed forces, it's a different kind of behavior that is meted out. Of course, there are exceptions you are finding in the social media. So unfortunate. It's just very, very unfortunate, and I would say that we remember veterans during Republic Day, during Independence, but when we talk about them as human beings, as people with aspirations, with problems, then we just forget about their dedication and loyalty. Very unfortunate.
Right, that's true. Like you said, that we always remember them only on the special days, right? On Republic Day, Independence Day, and rest of the time we are just, normal lives. But the people out there, they're always in that zone that they have to be there. Like you said, you were posted in several such areas during your entire career. So you mentioned that you have some funny stories as well. So can you give me one funny story?
Let me think about it. Just give me some time because you know about military humor, right? So many funny stories. So everything has to happen overnight because there is no you don't have the time to wait. So if there are 10 things which have to be done, they have to be done. So very, very small example. And we have companies in our battalions. And there was a kitchen garden competition where between the companies, everybody was competing for the best kitchen garden, the best produce and all that. And generally there is a headquarter company, Alpha company, Bravo company and all that. So this competition was held and we were given a time of say about a month or a month and a half. So what happened because of the compulsions which were there, we couldn't do too much in headquarter company about the competition. So, when I had gone for the inspection to see that, okay, fine, tomorrow we have to show, and the commanding officer would be coming and inspecting all the kitchen gardens. So, what happened was my senior JCO, what he did was he overnight he got plants of brinjals and then, huge brinjals he brought from the market and stippled it onto the plants. And, lo and behold, our kitchen garden was ready. So, what happened the next day, I was very surprised to see all these flourishing and such huge produce on the plants which were there. So, on closer examination, of course, I came to know what he's done. And of course, the commanding officer also came to understood what had happened. But then he gave full marks to the JCO for his ingenuity. So, although we didn't win the competition, but then, yes, he gave a special prize for the,
Innovation.
yes, innovation that he had. Plus, he appreciated, of course, because there was a lot of tasks that the company had undertaken in the past couple of days. So, that's how it was.
That's nice. That's wonderful, to hear such stories Because often we hear about the loss, right? The loss in the Indian Army, and it feels very sad. What is your take on that, because you are brought up in an army family, you've worked in army, and your daughter is also aspiring. So that fear of losing someone or losing your own life, how does it feel like?
I would say that we train in peace so that we don't bleed in war. Yeah. So it's while we know that something like this can happen and we are possibly mentally prepared for it, but then the endeavor is that you train so well and your reactions are so honed that such a thing doesn't happen. If it happens at all, then it is just because of the circumstances completely beyond control. And when we are talking about men, it's a family, you see, and especially so in infantry units. I cannot say so for army
Mhm.
service corps. But then, you literally live with them.
True.
So it's a family you know about. Of course, in my unit also, I know each individual by name. I used to know who their family members are, what their problems were, and you get so deeply involved in their requirements, I would say, because if you don't help them, if they don't have that faith that somebody's there to look after them, it's just trust and blind faith that the army works on. So it's a very different kind of a feeling. It's a very different responsibility. It's a very onerous responsibility that you have to make sure that your men are looked after. And if such a unfortunate incident happens, then their families are looked after for sure.
So the training makes you mentally prepared for all these things, but an honest question, did you any time fear of losing of your men or your life? That fear, was it there with you?
Say it was there because, see, I have faced losses myself. It is not that I have not, I lost my husband about 7 years back. He was an infantry officer, and it didn't happen because of any military action or, but it was attributable to military service. So, see, the loss of a loved one is uh, it's the same for everybody, I would say. It is just that because of how your training is, or the mental resilience that is inbuilt. If I talk about this loss which happened, my daughter was just 14 years old. So, uh, I mean, I need to be there more for her rather than, kind of wallow in my emotions and let
Of
that take
course.
over. So while that sense of desolation, that loss is there, but then I have had to ensure that I do everything to protect my daughter's interests and make sure that she gets out of that desolation that was swamping her. Like a father
Mhm.
is a hero in the daughter's eyes. So
Of
that
course.
is something which you can't ever refute. And such a loss, of course, at such a tender age is going to have a huge impact on her mind, which it did. But then that was the task for me to, kind of get her out of it.
Now that you have transitioned out from the Indian Army into corporate, how does it feel like, the difference? What is the major difference that you feel like?
Honestly, if I say that I would have thought that the corporate is very professional, I thought before joining the corporate. But then that's where the entire thing kicks in. I think whatever I've done in the army, setting processes, as I said, following policies,
Mhm.
making sure that there is uniformity in what the team does, team building as such, those are things which are, are required everywhere. So I have built such deep relationships because I've heard this a lot that, corporate friendships are very temporary. But it gives me so much satisfaction. It gives me so much pleasure to have forged bonds. Like I have changed one company already. So in the last, say, 3 years, I'm into my second job, which is a new because I was in the army for 22 and a half years. And I mean, we had postings, but then I never changed the job. So changing a job in 2 years, going to a different organization, starting all over again, meeting completely new team, completely new work-life balance, or rather, I would say a completely new set of procedures or tasks, skills. That is that happens to you in the army also because no two postings are the same. So it is somewhat similar. You meet a new set of people. In some cases, you have some old faces also coming back to you because that person might have, or that Jawan would have been there in your previous unit and he would have got posted to the next unit as you did. So, so that happens quite a lot. But what I was trying to say was that that friendship, my team still reaches out to me from my last stint in the corporate. And they still, try and make me a part of their happiness or sorrow, which I think is very happy. And I think that is something which is really commendable because that's very hard to find, possibly.
True. True.
Lasting relationship, I mean.
I think that's your personality, right? You are so grounded. You have such an aura that is so peaceful and strong-willed, right? So if your personality, your aura is out there, I think you'll attract those people around you that will always stay with you.
You made my day, Swati. Thank you so much.
Okay. So you are right now the Vice President in Tourist Technologies. So the roles and responsibilities as a Vice President here, and then working as a senior officer in Indian Army, how does that do look to you if we compare?
I would say it's the same. I would say it's the same because, in your head, your responsibility, accountability does not change. The nuance changes, of course, because what I do affects people directly in terms of affecting lives, affecting the course of what and how we are procuring. Because I'll tell you, one of the jobs of being in the Army Service Corps is uh, forecasting and also procurement in the coming years. So if I do make a mistake right now, it's going to have a fallout later, maybe the next year, consequences, which is going to affect maybe not me, but then somebody, who's coming, and then that unit is going to face a lot of problems. So your actions have to be such that they are taking into account what the trend has been in the past and what you're trying to forecast for the future. So you have to have, accuracy to a large extent. And of course, a lot of diligence is required. In this case, I would say I set processes, I hire people. So recruitment is one of the things. Of course, in the corporate, the person has the freedom to, kind of leave the job and seek seek an opportunity somewhere else if they feel that it is not commensurate to what the expectations were. So you win some, you lose some, but it really doesn't have an impact on, say, the lives of people. If you understand what I'm saying. Of course, you do lose time, you do lose money. So here that is important. Changing of my mindset is the thing that needs to be done. So in the army, like if I had 10 jobs, I would prioritize all of them because all of them have to be completed in that particular day.
Right.
So that carried on to the corporate where I had initially a lot of problems because I thought that, okay, these need to be done and this has been told to me, so I have to do it today itself. So I would, kind of break my back and do it. And then later on, then I discovered that it doesn't have to be that fast. I mean, nobody is expecting me to do it overnight. So then I started prioritizing, and that's how you adjust, like you learn by your experience.
That's true. And you raised a very important point about loyalty, right? Like in corporate, you have the freedom to switch, but then in the armed forces, you are there. You're loyal. You're loyal to your country. You're loyal to your people. And the difference in loyalty is there. Yeah.
Yes, loyalty is something which is so what I am doing with my time. So I would say that as a professional, if I am wasting my time during the time I'm supposed to be in office and working, for me that is disloyalty. Because here when you're talking about it's your productivity, right? It's how you are converting your man hours or women hours to productive conversion of whatever has been entrusted to you. So if you're not doing that and you're whiling away time, then you're being disloyal to your company. If you are flouting some basic tenant, like uh, which is not expected out of you again, that is disloyalty. So for me, it's very basic.
So you've been a leader in the armed forces, you've been a leader in the corporate, and as a leader in the home, right? Women are the leaders of the home, the bosses of the home.
Yeah, but so for me, by default, like I told you, because of my loss, I am by default I would say, the man of the house. Although my daughter is fast growing up, so she's trying to, boss over me now.
Okay. So, like they say that, now that you're a veteran, but still the army never goes out of you. You go out of the army, but the army never goes out of you. So it always stays with you, right?
It's in my blood. So I have great regards for the Indian Army. Like I said earlier, also, I owe everything. I've grown up in that environment. I see the brotherhood, the camaraderie, the support system, and I can vouch for it that there is no other place like that.
Wow. So what would be your, advice to people, young girls who want to join the Indian Army or armed forces in general?
So I would say that wearing the uniform is not about glamour. It comes with a lot of responsibility. It comes with a lot of accountability. And we have to do whatever to uphold the dignity of the profession we are in. So one has to realize that it takes a lot of hard work to reach that level of, I would say, to earn your uniform. I would not put it any other way. So you have to put in a lot of hard work to wear the uniform. And you should wear it with a lot of pride, dignity, and accountability. So in the
Okay.
army, it's like, kind of you wouldn't hear anybody talking about themselves. In the corporate, when I'm told to talk about myself, I kind of think, whatever I have done is just my job. So if you ask me a story, I have maybe thousands of stories. But then when it comes to talking about them, I would have to think very hard because for me, it's just what I was supposed to have done. And when I, like when I talk or when I come to the opposite side of the fence, of course, it all seems very exciting to somebody who's not been in that space. So yes, I do understand that, and I have to kind of tune my brain also to talk more because I think in the corporate, the more you talk and the more you sell yourself is basically, how you make your impact. But then it's not so in that. Your actions and just being you is enough.
Just being you is enough. That's so powerful.
It is. It is. I mean, there used to be a time I was posted in Delhi only during COVID, and I would be the only person on the road because we didn't have any work from home, right? So we had to be there
Of
in office,
course.
so we had to be there wherever. And when we were carrying out relief work also, setting up camps and all of that. So I would be the only person, and the policemen, why they would, and uniform, they would just not ask me where I'm going. It's a very powerful thing. It's a very powerful thing because they understand that they are there on duty and this person is also going on her duty. It's not for fun. So it's a very different experience.
But I'll take that with me, that being yourself is enough. I think even in daily life, it is very, very important that I am enough. I don't have to brag about what I'm doing. I don't have to prove anything to anyone. I'm just enough. I'm just good. I'm good as I am.
Think, of course, we'll be digressing, but I think the Gen Z today have this problem that they don't feel enough. They always associate success with something. If you always associate things with yourself or what you are as a person, as a personality, there would be problems because you have to have that belief in yourself that you are enough.
That's so true. So, what would be your final key takeaway to anyone who's listening to this podcast?
I would say, Swati, that life brings a lot of tribulations to everybody. Everybody has their own story to tell. Everybody has something to celebrate. Each individual in themselves has accomplishments or has faced circumstances, difficulties, hardships, fought battles which no one knows about. It is how you come out of those difficulties is what makes you stand out as an individual. So my message to my daughter, to all the young crowd out there is that yes, please do follow your heart, your passion, believe in yourself. That's very important. And remember that whatever you do, all your actions, you are accountable for them, which will automatically give you that responsibility. It will make you responsible, a better person.
Being responsible is very, very important. That's so wonderful, so powerful. Thank you so much, Ipsa. It was really wonderful talking to you. And like I already mentioned, that your personality speaks out.
Thank you so
It
much,
was
Swati. I've had a wonderful time interacting with you, and thank you so much for this platform, for giving me this opportunity to talk to you. You made my day.
Thank you so much. And you made my day because, talking to a person who served in the army is always very special. Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so much.
much. Thank you.